Hello, beautiful. Welcome to this lesson on self-devotion. Oh, such a powerful lesson. Every woman should understand how important it is to be self-devoted. And I'm going to speak to why that is, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey with this. But everything you've learned so far again leads here. This is a very woven program. You will understand that you are adding information, but you're adding healing to yourself every time you open up a new lesson. It's very powerful to learn about self-devotion today. So you've done patterns, bodies, beliefs, recoding, but this is where change happens. This is where insight doesn't just change your life because it's what you do in the moment. And that really always comes back to the self-devotion, okay? Devotion to self. Women don't struggle because they don't know what to do. They struggle because in hard moments, they have been trained to abandon themselves. So they go back into that pattern we've talked about that serves them in some way to get the love, the connection, or whatever it is they're seeking. But they override their true feelings in doing that, and they're using the pattern rather than their truth. Okay. They abandon themselves to keep everything running. And this is what motherhood can look like day in, day out. And it is why so many mothers come to me resentful, angry, pissed off, had enough, sick, really big, because they've just got no energy left. Because the more you self abandon, you give away your energy and your power time after time after time. And this is why the cycle continues, right? Because it's still getting you what you want. Your kids seem happy, everyone's ticking, the world's spinning because of this. So you're like, okay, I gotta hold this tight, right? I can't shift, I can't move or change because everything will collapse. So what self-devotion is self-devotion is where that stops. Choosing to stay with yourself. Wow. Not perfectly, but more than you were before. To go from being a self-abandoning woman to completely self-devoted overnight will literally blow up your world. So I'm not here to tell you to do that or not to do that, right? It depends on what you're willing to accept and to take on as change, because change will happen very rapidly in your life the more you devote to yourself. Okay. So it isn't about doing more. It's holding a different standard for yourself, choosing new boundaries. What will I give energy to? Who will I give energy to? Who will I chase? Nobody. Who will I wait for? A few people. Okay, so self abandonment is the core of this. And I'm going to talk to you about how it becomes part of the anxious attachment as well in this next section. Because it really is a feeling, like a subtle feeling that it's just who you are, that you're just that kind person, you're just that giving, caring, loving human, right? And the truth is, underneath, no, we are all that. We are all sovereign and we are all innocent in who we are. Everybody, I believe, actually wants to be good. But ignoring what you feel for long enough, or being forced to ignore what you feel in childhood, saying yes when you want to say no, staying quiet when you want to speak up, pushing through severe overwhelm because you don't have another option, is not who you are by any means. This is typical blatant self-abandonment. Okay, and the body feels it time and time and time and time and time again. The system loses trust in you and it goes back to the pattern because the pattern feels safe. So, self-abandonment is very much linked to anxious attachment. I am a recovering anxious attachment woman, and I believe most of the women who find me and this program will also have that same profile because they're living in over responsibility, they're living in overwhelm and over giving and sacrifice and all these guilt programs. So, this is really where the anchor begins when you learned that you could lose connection. That's what an anxious attached person believes at their core, is that connection is able to be lost. So, if I don't continually perform, continually show up, continually prove myself to be lovable, I will lose connection. And you have to remember, as I've shared, that when you're forming connection, you are so vulnerable, you are little. Those people that you're forming connection with are the people who feed you and keep you alive. They keep you warm, dry, and safe. So, connection isn't just about the connection you think of now when you think about your child or your mother or your friend. Connection was survival when you were little, when this pattern was formed. So, anxious attachment got formed when you were so vulnerable and you formed a belief that you weren't actually going to be okay if you didn't have that connection. So, what do? You watch, you observe, and you learn. What do I do and how do I behave, even as a baby, crying, when to cry, when not to cry, how to do everything so that you could keep connection. And what does that look like as an adult? It looks like overgiving, under receiving, saying yes when you want to say no, all the things that I've listed, because you're still just running the same program that you picked up when you were a baby. Now, we could go into how and why and sleep training and bottle feeding and so many things. I'm not here to do that. I'm here just to point it out to you because you're going to resonate with it or you're not. Okay. It is intricately tied into your self worth. How safe it was to be yourself growing up is literally how safe it is to be yourself now. Being shut down, dimmed, corrected, told to be quiet, learning to perform for that connection is layering patterns over the top of your actual truth of who you are. Are you shiny? Are you bright? Are you big? Are you loud? And do you feel guilty of being all those things? Are you only those things around some people and not everyone? It's fine to adapt ourselves, but adapting ourselves in truth is very different to changing ourselves for connection. And this is where I live now. I live in this place where I can adapt myself to any moment, but my self-worth doesn't change. Okay, so self-devotion begins with safety within. This is what we're working on here, not outside validation. Nobody is going to tell you how good you are, and it's going to matter to the degree you think you're good. You are, remember the saying, as above, so below. And that's the most basic principle of the world, as in what is on inside, how you treat and speak to yourself is how people outside of you do. So every person in your life is a projection of a part of you. If your mother's rude to you, it's because you're rude to yourself. If your father dismisses you, it's because you dismiss yourself. If your child won't listen to you, you're not listening to yourself. So we always have us. It's only ever us. We're the beginning and the end. Now, that doesn't mean it's easy to be in a family, to have behaviors going on and to feel what we feel, but it does mean we have this to come home to. And it is a very responsible, very accountable program to be running. I run this in my life, which means at times I have to apologize for blaming, projecting, telling someone else it was all their fault when I know that everything that happened, I created. Very big concept. And I want to work with you deeply on this because it is the biggest concept you're going to have to grasp to move forward as the woman you want to be. So you must create the trust and the safety within your own system, which purely comes from doing what you want to do when you want to do it. This isn't about not taking care of your children, right? This is the moments you know you have a choice and you're still choosing the pattern. So pause instead of react is a really simple one. Just pause. Your system wants to react, fix, control. The self-devotion creates a pause, even a few seconds. And that pause is the space and the choice and the power. So you stop leaking energy through the reactions that aren't true. You stop leaking energy, giving and overgiving when the truth is, if I gave myself 3 seconds, I actually don't want to go to that thing. I don't want to be there in my body right now. I'm not avoiding it, I just don't want to go. Now, this speaks directly to compassion, is not just what you do, it's how you meet yourself in these moments. Most women carry such huge degree of self-criticism, guilt, pressure. It shows up as tension in your body, impatience, and being depleted all the time. Because think about self-abandonment. If you've got a container of energy that is your capacity, if you've got that aura, that energetic field, and you're constantly throwing energy out of that towards other people's needs, you eventually have very little left. That is when sickness happens. That is what I understand disease is. Disease is not an actual disease. Disease is having no energy in your energetic field because you've given it all away by self-abandoning. So compassion will always soften the body, create safety in your nervous system, and it shifts the responses naturally. So compassion is a superpower. If you can stop in a moment, pause before you self-abandon and give yourself huge amounts of love, then make a choice, you have just anchored a change in that moment. Compassion is your superpower. The problem is we haven't been taught to have compassion for ourselves, yet that's why we struggle to have compassion for others sometimes. We pretend we do, but if we don't really, it's felt and known. So how you speak to yourself equals your child's environment. This is another way to look at it so you change and you make it a responsible choice. You don't turn against yourself in hard moments because that's what your child will do. Okay, so you are setting that ceiling for them again with how much compassion, love, and self-devotion you emit. I have a divine feminine shrine set up in my bedroom. When I am sitting at it, my children know to join me and get involved or don't. They don't even need to ask anymore. And it is not, I do not feel bad about that 1 ounce. They know if it's urgent, I am available to them, but they also know how much it means to me. And often they will sit with me and witness me through it. That is not who I was. I was completely asleep till 32. I have had to show up with devotion and commitment to have that be who I am in this family. So this is not going to happen overnight, but I am here to support you through it happening a lot quicker than it took me. Speak to yourself how you would your child because your inner child is listening. So when you berate your child if they made an error or a mistake? Yeah, if they didn't get it quite right or they forgot someone's birthday present, would you? There's not a chance. So why do you speak to yourself that way? It's because you've just learned that you have to be perfect. If you don't be perfect, you won't get the connection you desire deeply. So speak to yourself like your inner child needed to hear, right? Give it to her now, parent her. This is what reparenting is. It's speaking to yourself as though you would have hoped to be spoken to when you were young. Now, let's talk intuition because your most powerful guide as a mother is your intuition. It's often overridden by fear, conditioning. Self devotion is returning to intuition because in the moment, if you've been running a pattern for 30 years that you overgive and under receive, and then you're going to start pausing now and observing that, you are going to need to choose something else. And this is going against a pattern, right? So it's important that you just honor that it's not going to feel comfortable in the beginning. You're overturning a lot of conditioning in that one moment to pause and choose differently. So you might have racing thoughts afterwards and fear and worry and guilt. That is normal. That is not telling you to run back to the pattern. That is showing you that you are overriding some pretty big stuff. So noticing your intuition guide you. What do I want to do? That's the question. This is intuitive. Instead of saying yes, what do I actually want? Oh gosh, I want to read a book. I want to go to sleep. I actually want to go for a walk on the beach or sit in nature. Do it. Don't let the logical mind tell you why you shouldn't and why there's a ton of things to do. Go and do the intuitive thing first. This is not about having answers. Intuition will never feel like that. It will feel like a pull in a direction, not a logical explanation as to why you should do something. If you find yourself in that energy, you are in your head. Your intuition does not come from your head. Your intuition comes from your energy field and your body. Now, one part that I loved about my self devotion that really helped me was building new standards. I am so for this. We're going to do some beautiful live coaching on this. This is everything. What have you been available for in the past that you are no longer available for now that you choose not to self abandon? You were available for people, places, moments, challenges, all sorts of things that weren't yours because you were in anxious attachment and in this self abandonment pattern. So, where have you abandoned yourself for others? What are the new standards? I know for me, if someone values me as deeply as I value myself, because I've worked on this self worth, they will come find me. They will ring me and text me. They will say, hey, I want to be at your birthday party. I've remembered it's your birthday. They will be that person because I hold that standard for others and I hold it for myself. So building new standards around, don't just be liked or keep the peace or meet others' needs. You get to decide what am I available for? And I would be journaling about this, ladies, and writing these out and putting them on my wall. What are my new standards and how do I live? I am available for all the wealth, the motherhood joy, the peace in my home. Yeah, I'm available if, say, I was the fixer, that was my profile. So I am available for ease because all I ever did was struggle to fix everything. So I created more problems in my life so I could fix them. Well, I am available for only things that are easeful, whether that's catching up with a friend, a business opportunity, whatever it is, a kid's need, my homeschooling journey, whatever. I am only available for doing it with ease. And I write out my beliefs. What are my new beliefs? So this is beautiful, this work, and this is how you honor yourself. There's standards. What do you accept? How do you show up? And how do you treat you and others? If you are, this is the tricky thing I see, the secondary game we talked about in beliefs is if you step into new standards, you have to know that people are going to hold you to new standards. So you've got to be prepared for that level of responsibility in the world of being a woman with a mission and a focus, knowing that she can change so much if she holds her standards. But many people drop back because they don't want to hold the standards with others. So I would encourage you to look at where you're doing that as well. Okay. Some examples of new standards, and that might look like I stay with myself in all moments, particularly in hard moments. I don't chase others for love and validation. Others come to me with their love and validation. I always honor what I feel, regardless of its nature. I express what is true in even the most challenging moments. And I don't abandon myself in hard moments. I stay with myself through it all. These are just some of the standards that I embody. Okay. And this is what creates you becoming who you are. This is where things stabilize. And it's not just because life is easier, it's because you don't leave yourself anymore. Yeah. It's not about having an easy life 24/7. It's about I stay with myself no matter what. I don't leave because they're the moments where imagine the little child, she got left in the hardest moments to work through emotions she couldn't understand. She didn't have even the brain development to process it, and people left her in that. Don't do that to her ever again. From this moment forward, just say, I will never do that ever again. And the trust you will rebuild and the amazing changes in your life that will come because of this one thing, I can't even speak true. It's going to be everything. So, your body will feel safe, your patterns will shift faster, and your capacity will grow as long as you stay devoted to yourself at all times. Okay, when you fall off the wagon, it's cool, it's okay. Tell me, I can support you, but hop back on. Because why would you want to live in a world where you're not devoted to yourself? Why would that want to be something you model to your children? That includes what are you eating? What are you doing? How are you being? Okay, one at a time, but in just take it in. The standards matter a lot to the future of your children. So use your standards reset worksheet. That's going to be really helpful and begin choosing your standards consciously. Listen to the self-devotion audio that you have here to help you and start practicing staying with yourself in the real moments. Okay, huge love.